So the output that we are looking into is something that is showing us that we have an error on line 6, and on line 8. So it's basically telling us that we have a problem with our float variable, and we also have a problem with our decimal variable. Now you can actually see that that my editor is underlining the values with a red line. So the problem in here actually leads us to a new topic. It's not actually a very new topic, but it's a way to solve this problem. The problem in here is that although we have declared the name in terms of float, or we are telling the compiler to go to the RAM, and when the compiler actually sees this code and it sees that the variable has a data type of float, it will go to the RAM and it will allocate 4 bytes of space for this variable to store its value. Now this float data type is actually corresponding to this name and obviously this value. Now this is helping me to recognize, or this is actually helping me to connect the value that I type in here along with the data type. And how is that possible, or how is it actually working? When the compiler looks at your data type, when you type in every of those data type, it's going to match that data type with the value or with the right hand operand that occurs after this assignment operator. Now this equals to sign is known as the assignment operator in programming. So this assignment operator has the function of taking this value, this right hand value or this right hand operand, and it's going to do the calculation and it's going to store that in a variable that's of type float. And because it has a type of float, it's going to store that in a 4-byte memory space. So the error is showing the reason behind why we it's actually telling me that we are getting this error due to the conversion that's actually not occurring. So it's also telling me that are you missing a cast. So basically a cast is something different. We'll be talking about a cast, but there is an easy way to solve this problem. The easy way is it actually leads us to a topic that's known as literals. So literals are like values, numeric values or characters or strings, which you actually literally type in. I mean, it's basically the same thing, but it's actually referred to in a different way. So this string in here, you can actually look at the string in here, and you can also look at the character in here. Now the way the compiler is recognizing this to be a string is because of the double quotation marks at both the ends. So this entire sentence is being enclosed within this double quotation marks, and the difference and then when the compiler reads this sentence and then it matches that sentence with your data type that's placed before this variable name, when it sees that both of them has a matching or both of them agree with each other, then it's going to print out your variable's value on the compiler, or it's going to successfully compile your code. Now the second thing in here, or the or this variable of type char or car, whatever you call it, this character variable has only a single character in here. Now how is it recognizing it? How is it recognizing what sort of value is contained inside this variable? The first thing that the compiler will do is to look at, it's going to look at this data type then it's going to look at the right hand operand. It's not going to look at your name. It's obviously going to look at the value that you're going to store. Now the value that you're going to store needs to be a single character or a single alphabet, like this. So this single alphabet needs to be enclosed in single quotation marks. Now you see the difference, because in a character means a single letter, maybe, or it can be like the characters actually means the things that you see in your keyboard. I mean, the keys are actually represented by their own numbers behind the scenes, but because these characters, these alphabets particularly have their own corresponding numbers. Like A might have a corresponding number of 65 behind the scenes, because computer doesn't actually understand any alphabets like we humans do. They more or less understand a number. So each of these alphabets, from A to Z or A to Z, whatever you call it, these alphabets need to be represented by a number. So A might be represented, like capital A might be represented by the number 65, then capital B will be represented by the number 66, or like the small a or the lowercase a will be represented by something like 98 or something like that. You can actually check that out. So the compiler will actually look into three things in here. First, the data type. Then it's going to look at your value, whether that value actually agrees with your data type. So how is it going to test whether it agrees? The first thing it's going to look is whether you have single quotation marks. So when you have single quotation marks, then it actually evaluates that it is correct. Then it's going to take the next step. The compiler is going to take the next step. The next step is that whether you have a single value inside that quotation marks. So if you have a single value, then it's going to evaluate this whole value as correct, and then it sees that your value on this right hand side, this right hand operand, actually agrees with your data type. So it's not going to throw an error when you try to print the value that's contained inside this variable letter 1. Likewise, when we talk about this numeric values, they are called numeric literals. So we are literally trying to type in a number, or we are literally trying to do a calculation using our compiler. So basically a compiler, you know, the compiler is more of like your calculator. So when you try to input the values, or when you try to input the numbers in your calculator, you just directly type in the numbers. Then if you try to do multiplication, you just if you try to do subtraction, perhaps you just provide or input the subtraction symbol or the minus. So you type in the minus sign, then suppose you want to actually subtract 19.09 from 20.10 in your calculator. So you type in the first value in your calculator, you input that, then you tell the calculator that you need to subtract, you need to use the subtraction operation. Then you go on and type in the second value. Now after you do that, you press on the equals to symbol or the equals to button. The next thing the calculator shows will actually tell you the result after it has done all the calculation. Now the compiler is more of like a mega calculator, but it acts in a different way. So in a calculator, you're actually literally typing in the numeric values, or you're actually typing in the digits along with the decimal if there is a decimal. Now you're also inputting, or you're also